Homelessness 2.0 day 50. I'm going to do a little bit of cleaning today. And in the spirit of cleaning, I've got to go to the store, get some more paper towels. I got to go to storage as well. I don't know how long I'll be able to clean. It doesn't matter how motivated I feel at a certain point. It doesn't last. Which is often why I just don't do it in the first place. It's like, I do small, like, I still have all the empty bottles, milk cartons and stuff. But, I washed them out. Because in my brain, that's cleaning. Like, that's a kind of cleaning. And because it's better than not cleaning it out and leaving it, somewhere. And I mean, why? Because of less than 2 weeks. 31st is like Friday next week. And so I have to shift into whatever the next thing is. And it's literally the same day as the last video because, I went to bed like 2 and then woke up and then I started doing a little bit of cleaning. I scraped off a bunch of that fat. I think today is trash day too, from what I can recall. We'll see. So somebody out there, I don't know if they're digging through or if they're just trying to shift it around to make sure things are whatever. I can't tell. Maybe they're probably just shifting it so they can put stuff in the trash. But got to throw out at least a couple of bags worth of like trash that could be problematic if it's stuck around for any period of time. Like the fat that I just hunks of fat off of that broth. But like now, I'll even show you. Now it looks like this, nice and jiggly and gelatinous. That's where all the flavor is. Now, unfortunately, I didn't do that first. So a lot of the stuff that I added to it, I mean, a good chunk of it likely ended up settling, but a good chunk of it was probably suspended in the fat too. Especially like the powdered seasonings and stuff that I had. So those things may have to be re-added, but it's whatever. I just can't change it. I've been thinking a lot about certain thought processes about people. So like one of the things I've said before is, I want to say like every day, for the most part, not every single day, but for the most part, I try to think, because like I grew up in Texas. I now live in California for however long. Two very polar opposite states when it comes to, political dispositions and stuff. But there's a lot of overlap in a lot of different things. And I'm still trying to figure out exactly what they are. I'm about to fart. Not the best one, but whatever. You probably didn't hear it. Who knows? But one thing that I'm noticing on the sort of conservative side of things, and it's definitely in line with what I was raised with, is that there is this sort of air of taking responsibility for one's, not their actions, but what happens to you. So if a thing happens, it doesn't matter what it is, you have to take responsibility for it no matter what. And I find that to be strange. Like, I get part of it. It's like if you do something and something happens because of it, I get that. But like, okay, so for example, There was this comment that was talking about how like the Build Back Better like got quashed, and effectively people are either praising or hating on Joe Manchin because he's the one Democrat or whatever that helped to prevent it from happening. There's 50 other people who are involved, by the way. There's 50 Republicans that also didn't sign on for it. And one of the comments that was said is that people were like, we spend all this money on the military, but we don't spend money on the people. And then someone follows up with, that's because the military is like a necessary part of a country. Giving people free shit isn't. And it got me thinking, like, but what is free shit in that person's mind? And then, there's other people who are talking, and this is a Reddit thread, of course. There's other people who are talking about these various things. And like somebody said, it's like, it's not our responsibility to take care of your children. So like, you shouldn't be able to have free daycare is what they're saying. I think even some people said that. And it's like, okay, I kind of get that. But at the same time, you also don't let people... So if you can't afford to have a child, it's your fault. Okay. But we're not supposed to take care of the child. So if you can't take care of the child, then what? Well, I know that there have been people out there, and I'm going to say these are not the rule, these are the exception. But there's people out there who's going to be like, look, I wasn't doing great. I had a kid, and I had to just buckle up and do what was necessary to make money to raise my family. That's admirable. But I don't think that person lives in reality either. Because first and foremost, they've already made the assumption that you have to have a child. Like, we live in this we live in a world, not just in a country, but in a world where you can have contraceptives. You can have condoms and birth control and spermicide and the rhythm method and the pull-out method, because that's part of the rhythm method. There are ways to avoid having a child. You can have a vasectomy. You can get your tubes tied or incinerated. You can have your uterus removed. There are all of these different things that are involved with preventing childbirth. And interestingly, those, for the most part, don't seem to be a huge problem unless they have like a really fundamental sort of Christian way of leaning. From my own experiences, I don't know if this is everyone, of course. I'm not here to judge. I'm here to try to find out. I'm trying to find the truth of these thoughts. Contraception, from what I understand, the concept of it is often forbidden in sort of biblical circles. In fact, I believe one of the things that was espoused to me in my youth was that it is better for your seed to end up in a hook in a whore than to fall on the ground or something like that. Which is funny because, Jesus hung out with a prostitute. But there's this strange sort of fundamental foundation that it's either A, 100% abstinence, or B, sex with the sole purpose of procreation. And again, it kind of leads towards this, religious thinking. And somehow that has permeated our society into a lot of different ways. Now, is that the reasoning? I don't know. Is that why everybody thinks the way that they do? I don't know. I'm gonna hedge a guess. I'm gonna hedge a bet and say it has a lot to do with it. Instead of it's not working very well, I want it to. Fuck, it's not working at all. There we go. Needed something in front of it because I don't want to hold the phone. Hold the phone? No, I don't want to hold the phone. This is one of the reasons why, despite the fact that I went to bed around 2 o'clock, I didn't really get to sleep until like 3 or maybe even 4 because my mind was still racing with this whole thing. But I want to talk to more people about this. I want to have actual conversations about this stuff. Like, despite the fact that there are so many people who will just out and out dismiss the viewpoint of another, myself included. I'm guilty of that hundreds, possibly thousands of times in my life. I'm trying to improve myself. It's one of the reasons why I'm okay with the idea of not staying in LA. Because to go back to the whole driving thing and all that, and it's like, yeah, LA is beautiful. LA is not the only fucking town in the entirety of the United States. There's so much to this place that I still haven't seen. And, you know, riding a train is good and all, but that's expensive. And it's on rails, and you can't get off and on and off. And I never really took a road trip across the U.S. because the idea always seemed like a horrible idea. But certain things, certain actions, it's like, okay, I guess you could say this with so many things. Doing something with purpose behind it, driving it, not only makes it more likely for you to do it, but to be successful at it and to potentially even enjoy it. It's like I'm not cleaning because I like cleaning. I'm doing it because I have a purpose behind it. I wish I could do that all the time. I wish I always had a purpose to clean. One might say, well, cleaning should be, having a place that's clean should be the purpose, right? Not for me. I wish that was the case. I kind of had it like that in the beginning, but then, when you have so many other things that just want to fall apart, and because I am so I'm not just easily discouraged from doing the thing, that discouragement permeates my being and stops me from doing anything. I'm so easily discouraged that small things lead up to bigger things. I, without any intent, make mountains out of molehills because I don't know how to handle them properly. One might say, well, leaving and going on a road trip isn't going to be the best way. But I mean, I don't have much choice in the matter. This place is expensive. LA is expensive right now for me. It is not pragmatic for me to stay here. It is not fiscally responsible for me to stay here. Going back to that whole sort of ideology of personal responsibility and what I've learned, what I've seen of sort of conservative values. I don't have family to deal with. I don't have any kids. I don't have a wife. I don't have a job. I have nothing that's tying me down. And I find it funny that we use that phrasing. It's like, even if I did have all those things, should we be forced to stay in one place just because those exist? I get it to a degree. I mean, like, of course, as you know, I talked about it before, you know, as a child, we moved a lot, and I get that because there's certain aspects of it. But those are during your formative years. I'm an adult. I'm already broken. The chances of me succeeding in life are slim to none, no matter what I do. So, like, what do I fucking do? I don't know. So I'm trying stuff. Well, it's always worked this way. For whom? I've gotten myself off topic, which is normal. But it all ties in. It's like, if I were to go on a road trip, like I said, I have a social experiment that I would like to try. It's hard for me not to say anything, because I'm always one who's willing to give up the goat, to tell the secret the moment that I think of it. But if I tell the secret, then I might not even do it. It's kind of the reason why you don't tell people, you know, about your New Year's resolutions, you know, being a thing that is coming up. Because then you get the pat on the back and then you just move on, and you get that sort of satisfaction that you've made a thought instead of doing the action. Instead of doing this stuff and doing the work that was necessary, you instead just get that brief reward, and then you're not really going after the results or the process. And that's the most important thing. Okay, screw everything else I've talked about. When you can appreciate, understand, and desire to do the process of a thing, be it cleaning, learning about people's different dispositions on things, restoring old tools, using tools to make wooden sculptures or whatever, it doesn't matter. If it's going to work, if it's doing a hobby, if it's living life, if you can enjoy, or at the very least tolerate the process, you've succeeded in that thing. Whatever that thing is, you have succeeded in it. Which is probably one of the reasons why, especially in the last couple of weeks, I've really been digging the idea of getting back into video editing. Even though I stopped for a long time, like over a year now. Like, I literally deleted all the content that I was considering editing, that was already in the process of editing, that not only that, I deleted the programs from my computer. I've literally done nothing regarding editing. I'm trying to open this from the wrong side. And that would be why I haven't done anything. But like, there's aspects of it that kind of crawling back into my brain. Now, is it something that I'm going to be pursuing as a full-time job? God, no. I'm not that good. But doing it was a creative outlet. Like, the fact that I still, to this day, can look back on some of the gifts that I've made and be like, I spent 30 fucking hours on that. How did I do anything for 30 hours? Not at once, of course, but still. And there's an old video that I've uploaded on 2 different accounts on YouTube. And it took me 3 days of like Adderall-fueled editing to accomplish. It was like 2 16-hour days, and then like another 8 hours on the last day. It was over Labor Day weekend 2010. That's nothing in a way compared to the gifts that I spent editing the last summer, before everything started going to shit. And then there's another gift that I spent like 3 hours editing, and that was it. And when I look back on like 3 hours, it was nothing. But 3 hours is a long fucking time, depending on what you're doing. But I enjoyed that process at that time. There were parts of it where I'm like, I can't believe I'm... And looking back on it, I know why I continued. And it's the reason why I do anything. I don't know if this is dirty or if it's just paint or something. I don't know what that, maybe it's soot. I'm not sure. I'm noticing that there's a lot of like superficial cleaning, but not a lot of deep cleaning in this Airbnb. Like I said, there's, like on the tops of things up here, like there's just a layer of stuff all over it. But anyway, who am I to fucking judge anybody? I mean, or to complain or anything. I don't clean. But I don't know, maybe that's why you're supposed to... That's why you charge over $2,000 to live somewhere for a month. Because that person's better at it than you. That's the idea. That's my thinking. I don't know. Maybe my standards are stupid. I don't know. I'm homeless. I'm not allowed to have standards, right? Beggars can't be choosers, right? Oh. No beggars can be choosers. That's how they stop becoming beggars. There's nothing wrong with having standards. Doesn't matter what station you are in life. And that's classist talk anyway. It doesn't fucking matter. Calling someone a beggar is just trying to perpetuate classist bullshit. We don't need any more of that crap. We already have enough of that shit. Fucking with life. Screwing people's lives over. So my response to beggars can't be choosers is, then how do they stop becoming beggars? Because I'll tell you, the people who say that say you should just take what somebody gives you. And those specific people ain't gonna give you shit anyway. So you ain't gonna get out of your beggar situation. Those people want to keep you down. And why? I don't know. Which is something I'm gonna try to figure out too. Maybe they have some insecurity issues or some superiority complexes, who knows. But I'm hoping that whatever this next chapter of my life is, not only do I learn about myself, but I learn about people in general. At least American people. Because that's really all I'm stuck. I'm stuck in America for the most part. Because that's where my passport lets me go, for one. Well, I mean, the book passport lets me fly anywhere, but finances and all that shit doesn't really let me go anywhere. And then the passport ID is what lets me go to Canada and Mexico, which I've never gone to either one of them. So I'm gonna try to finish cleaning because the recliner in there is broken. I gotta let them know. And I figure if they're gonna come in here and check it out, they might as well have a relatively clean place to come to. So have fun.